Good
Hello.
timing. Hey, this is the pre-show. We're just gonna hang out for the show.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put my green screen up.
Hey, you know what? Now's the time.
You can
How's
witness
everybody
the
doing out
magic.
there?
Ooh, interesting background. Are you back in your
Yep, this is my office.
your office? Interesting.
For those that
But
don't
I have
know,
an actual camera this time. It is great.
that looks
Did
good.
you pour one out for the internet gods?
That's right. So Eric's got this addition to his house that he has all to himself. And is it just one wall that's a library, or I don't know? Do you want to like show it around?
It's just one wall. It's a library. The rest is a total mess right now, so I won't show it around. But yeah, this wall is full of books, game books, books that I wrote, books that I didn't write, but I still like reading, and a lot of toys and geeky things.
So you had moved to a different location to do connection issues. I know you got a new camera. Did you get like some kind of Wi-Fi fix?
So I called Xfinity, and this is not a horror story. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. Usually when it starts with I called Xfinity. But...
And I talked to them and I said, so look, here's my situation. What do we do? And once I had laid it all out, you know, I have this exterior building and it has connectivity issues and I really just need better internet out there. They were like, well, we can offer you this promotional deal for internet speeds that are like 5 times what you have right now. So how about that? And I said, yeah, let's give that a try. So right now I have a much faster internet. And I'm hoping that will take care of it. But in case we end up with unstable internet like we have in the past, there are still things I could do. So.
Excellent.
Yang Yang, you're muted.
I'm just going to be adjusting my camera
No!
a little bit.
Why? But yeah, we had an extra sad background song playing while you were telling that story, so it added a little bit of emotional weight to it. Comcast.
Oh yeah, I guess I can check out the sound. I should verify.
Did we sort of figure out our music issues?
We're working through it.
Okay.
You know, it's just an ongoing project.
Like, I like having music. I think it's really cool. We need to find the right balance to make it work with the dialogue and everything.
Totally. So yeah, hey, thank you, Shay. Thank you, Lucina. Thank you, Sammy Lab, for your subscriptions. We really appreciate those. Well, friends, what should we talk today?
There's way too much.
Good question. You guys didn't figure that out while I was getting my dinner.
Does that have to
That's why I
be
dipped
related?
at the right moment.
We talked about new webcams for a little bit, because Eric, I don't know if you noticed something a little different about him.
I have an actual webcam. It's amazing. But yeah, I'm still getting it fully calibrated and stuff. So if I look weird, that's why.
The other day, my pre-Zoom conversation with friends ended up being like mocking McMansions.
Nice.
Because my parents live in suburbia, so I do long walks, and so I've like, there's all these flavors of suburbia around them. They're in like 2-car garage big lots because it's older suburbia, and across the street is like 2-car garage, like really older, like 70s suburbia. And there's walking trails. It's nice around here. The transmission line right of way, they like pave where the trucks would normally go, and then they let the pedestrians go down there. So those are really nice. But of course, like the big transmission lines are among the different subdivisions. So like you can go out into like, so tonight and last night I was walking around the like, not just 3-car garage, but like 3-car garage sits behind like a little gate thing, and the 4-car garage sits like a stable block, and like all the different mansions.
My husband is staring through the window at me.
Okay.
Out. Hey.
I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm
I
like,
got
my
a text
story
that
is
says, I
that
see you,
interesting.
and I look down, and he's like looking from the bedroom window through
shoot.
our window into this office shed we have.
Just say pineapple if you want us to call the cops.
No, speaking of internet things, he's on the phone with our internet provider. I don't know why. So hopefully they're not going to do something untoward in the middle of this. But
Have you talked to
feels like the
Susan
kind of detail he might-
since yesterday? Because Susan, like, we were on
she
a
mentioned
Zoom,
her
and
she
her
mentioned
power went out.
went out.
So
She had like a power source, right?
yeah, and so she like did the whole thing looking like this still from like The Ring or something, because like from the laptop reflected light, you got like the reflection off her face, and then a little bit on the rest of her body, and then it like just faded out to like completely black.
I just want to point out 3 people asked that we talk about horse elixir again.
We were waiting to see if everybody remembered.
So, is it an elixir made of horses, or is it an elixir for horses, or is it an elixir that gives you the power of horses?
Or is it just like a metaphorical thing? Right?
Could
like
be.
a greyhound doesn't have anything to do with greyhounds. It's just called a greyhound.
Could be. Could be.
So Eric, Meyer Doug asked you which webcam did you go with? And then we have 3 requests in chat to talk about horse elixir. And then we have...
I just said that.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. We have one person asking you how your external man cave is connected to the internet. Eric.
It's a wireless connection through our router, and I use a Razer Kyo is the webcam I have, which
Very nice.
Yang Yang suggested to me. So it might be up a little high.
I like Shay's answer. It's an elixir. It's a drink that kicks like a horse.
Oh, I love it.
No doubt.
Yeah, sorry I didn't hear you say that, Aaron. I've been sort of like trying to listen to the music on the side and juggling some
Sure.
things.
You just tune out when I start talking. I know.
He's just.
What'd you say?
Now he's just going to reiterate what Shay said about the horse elixir.
Hey, Shay just said... No,
Story
yeah.
of my
Okay.
life.
All right.
Oh,
I have to say, I was looking at Tasha's, and I was tempted to like try and talk Eric into letting me swap out something for Fey Touched, just because it gives you Misty Step. And Rogar so jealous that everyone gets Misty Step, but so everyone
Fey
can like
touched, eh?
zap away.
It gives you like a free Misty Step. It's
Yeah.
even better. Like I want it, and I already have Misty Step.
Is it like frequently Fey touched? Is that what we're saying?
So, fun story. When I was an editor at Wizards of the Coast, we were coming up with so there were series that were like class-based, right? And Eric, you were in the fighters, right?
Right.
So it was like the fighters and the wizards and the priests. And so then the next set was going to be based on different fantasy races, different ancestries, right? So the first one was the Plain Touched, which actually Brimstone Angels was supposed to be the last book in that series. But then it got broken up and they were like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do character-based series because, you know, publishing's a trip. But when we were discussing what they were, the one that was going to be like elves and Eladrin, I can't remember what else, we were like, well, we could call that one the Fey Touched. And the managing editor, Phil Athens, was just like, absolutely not, because to him that sounded so filthy. Like, I can't pitch this with a straight face in a brand meeting.
No, is Ruan technically Fey? He's just elven.
He's just an elf. I don't
think
know
the
that
answer
elves
is-
don't count as Fey, do they?
Yes? Question mark?
It depends. Are you talking about rules? Like, I don't think they count as fey creatures as rules, but like
Correct.
if you were talking about like cultural identification, that's a different thing.
Right. And it also depends on kind of what edition you're talking about. If we're talking about 4th edition, then kind of yeah. If we're talking 5th edition, not so much. So
It could be something in the Happy Earthquakes, but I don't think the Dwarves would have Fey Touched as a thing in there.
I read that comment, Doug. Umbra has a question for us. Will there be some long breaks for the holidays?
definitely not gonna be streaming on the 23rd. Yeah, I think.
Right. We have decided not to do our show on the 23rd. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is totally disrupting my 50 episode goal. Like,
Or are we going to do an extra
is
one?
episode 47.
I mean,
And then the 16th would be episode 48. And then the 23rd, if we played on the 23rd, would be episode 49. And then the 30th would be episode 50. And we'd have this perfect 50 episode first season. But that's ridiculous. And so we're not doing that. We are thinking about doing a special holiday game like Rhiannon just mentioned.
We also, like Yang Yang pointed out, we didn't start until the middle of January. So if we
Exactly.
go
Right.
into January, we haven't ruined the numerology of it. And then we can all take a little break.
I believe it's been a year. It's crazy.
I know, but
It
think of
feels
all the
both way
stuff that
longer
happens.
and also not so long. Huh?
Dun dun.
And what a year to choose to do it. Too.
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy. And all the just thinking of all those sort of the incarnations it's gone through between, the studio and studio stuff and then
Sorry, Yang
That's,
Yang.
that's much better. I'm much happier with that camera angle. All right. Otherwise, it was looking down at me, and it was just kind of like, whoa.
Is this the Critical Role theme from like their opening intro? Like I recognize this song. Sounds
I
very
recognize it because,
familiar.
like
I
I
was
said, part of what I did was I just ripped off Matt Mercer's playlist to start as just
Don't-
a starting point while I was figuring out Sirenscape. I mean, it's
Look, like we're a level 2 stream, and Critical Role is like a level 24 stream. So just be careful.
Can you scooch the music down slightly more, like in
Okay.
relative to the voice?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so I mean, I searched around for basically, you have to use royalty-free music if you're going to, or you have to pay for the right to use the music, which is really expensive on a commercial stream. And really the only large cache of royalty-free music suitable for our show is the same cache that pretty much everyone uses. So yeah, there's definitely overlap, but yeah, it is a large cache. So hopefully over the next whatever month, I and perhaps others will be going through that large cache of music and picking out alternate songs, and I'll start swapping out.
How many gigs of music is that again, Randy? How many gigs did you upload for us?
That was half of it, by the way.
That was only
what-
half.
that was like what, 4.5 gigs or something
my
like that.
God.
5
Four
gigs
and a
of
half
music.
gigs of MP3s.
Of MP3s, yeah. So it's a lot.
I have a lot.
Yeah. Maybe we should recruit volunteers. Like if anybody out there on the
Yeah.
internet has opinions
I
about
gotta-
music.
I gotta tell you, this is not my wheelhouse. Like, you may recall back when we discussed the intro music that I had wildly different opinions, and I have deferred. So this is just, I'm like, I'm not gonna be useful for this. Which sounds very convenient, I know, because of the sheer quantity of music that is available to go through. But
Yes.
I have a little like,
So last week in the chat, somebody got lightly on my case about what kind of bourbon I was drinking. And they were certain that I needed to definitely drink Kentucky bourbon, which I usually do. And that was
it's
just
not bourbon unless it's from Kentucky, right?
I was drinking a Washington State bourbon. Well, bourbon legally has to be made in America, but it doesn't have to be legally made.
Oh, interesting. When I went on a tour of Woodford Reserve in Kentucky, and they said it has to be made in Bourbon County, technically, to be called bourbon. But maybe it's Kentucky bourbon, because it does seem like, no, that's not how it works.
That,
Yeah.
that isn't how it works. Unless you're French, that doesn't apply to what you're making. But yeah, there are actual laws about what qualifies bourbon as bourbon. And one of them is that it has to be made in the United States. Anything made in Europe or Asia or South America does not count as bourbon. It could be whiskey. And the Japanese make great whiskey.
They do.
It could
They
not
do.
be bourbon.
My favorite.
So, in deference to that conversation,
Oh, Maker's Mark. Very nice.
so
So
No, I don't drink a bottle of bourbon during every game. I can see the chat starting to type that already.
he does. Is there like a council that actually checks though for bourbon validation and then
It's called the
hunts down.
FDA.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
To label stuff. Like that's why some things are dairy dessert, not ice cream, and it's the FDA enforcing that.
I have a fun trivia question. As of 2018, what percentage of all bourbon is produced in Kentucky? What do you think? 5% in Kentucky. Okay. Anybody else?
80.
80%. Okay.
20.
Okay.
17.
I love this. The spread is amazing. Randy, you got a guess?
I'm going to say 23.6.
You are all too low. 95% of all bourbon is produced in Kentucky.
What?
Well, I mean,
Kentucky.
Good for them.
Some of that is because the biggest
right?
producers are in Kentucky, I'm
right.
sure.
It's kind of it's part of the cultural identity. It's like saying, hey, in the Forgotten Realms, how much of the Elverquist is produced among the elves?
This
like,
okay. This is where
most of it,
I was confused because while bourbon produced in Kentucky is of course called bourbon whiskey, bourbon produced in Tennessee is usually called Tennessee whiskey. But I think that's more of a Kentucky Tennessee thing.
It probably is.
So when you started drinking Jewel on the stream, I think I confused it with Czar because you'd mentioned Czar before too.
Oh, yeah.
I think as a recommendation to
Jewel and Czar are
Artemisia for
very
drinking.
different things.
Yeah.
Czar is like champagne with almond flavoring, basically.
Yeah, kind of.
Which I think
So
Eric had
I
mentioned
was saying
he brings
something
to
on a wiki
parties.
that Czar was fortified wine. So was
Alright.
I was just confused because I don't know anything about this stuff. So
Okay, so I'm going to read what it says on the wiki. Now, bear in mind, the wiki is not always strictly accurate. All right. Ed will probably contradict this, but here's what it says. Czar has an orange color and an almondy scent and flavor. Most elves disdain it. It is made by fortifying Sleuth, which is a dry, sparkling white wine with almond liqueur.
Okay.
okay.
Liqueur.
So it is both things.
There's more specifications produced at wineries such as the House of Good Spirits in Waterdeep. It's the featured drink served at the Sword and Sash Fest Hall in Tegel's Mark. It is also available from the Yawning Portal. Yeah.
Hey, Deckard.
It's just a popular and kind of iconic Forgotten Realms drink. Kind of like
I guess I thought elves were more into it, but I don't think that was ever actually said.
yeah, not really. It's a bit like the Forgotten Realms mimosa in a sense.
I mean, it still tracks for Artemisia, so.
Yeah.
I have such a hard time thinking about drinking Czar because I put it in my books. I put basically some roofied Czar in one of my books, and so I'm like, no, that makes you barf. Never ever.
Well, when you
which
drug
also
it,
might
yeah.
tie back to college Aaron and a bad experience with some amaretto that was not
geez.
roofied, that was just amaretto.
Just amaretto by itself.
No, it was mixed with something. It was horrible.
I see.
Mine was chocolate mudslide.
That's the thing. When you, I know we probably have some young viewers, and we're like, back in my day.
Sam Lab? I don't know if that's pronouncing that correct. Oh,
What is
sorry.
it?
Oh, I was going to say someone in the chat invited us to Sweden for the earlier medieval fest and to drink some mead.
Nice.
Is this like a midsummer situation that you're trying to get us into?
You can't just ask people
Oh,
if they're going to midsummer you.
Like,
If you're gonna midsummer us, I please warn us beforehand.
I'm gonna bring my
If
bear
someone asks if you're
onesie.
going to midsummer us, you have to tell us. That's the law.
Yeah, you have to tell
Yeah,
us.
That's right.
yeah, it's true.
Mead, I guess mead didn't make me vomit, but I also had my first experience drinking mead was with an ex, and at a party where like I only knew him, and it was like he'd made it or his friends had made it, and like
No.
he was a great person, and like his friends were great people, but like everything was against me basically. And I just remember the experience of being like, I'd be very polite while I'm drinking very little of this.
Oh man.
We made a melomel, which is a mead brewed with fruit, for our wedding, for the toasts part. Turned out pretty good.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
I really like mead. We have a bottle of mead in the house right now, actually.
But do you have a drinking horn?
No.
Now we know what to get Eric for Christmas.
Yes.
If you get me a drinking horn, I will drink from it on the stream. It will happen. Don't worry. Otherwise, this is fine.
What creatures, in the realms do you think would have some sweet drinking horns? Be made
If you're
from
gonna cut the horns off.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask for more specificity. Do you mean creatures that would produce good drinking horns, or do you mean creatures that would make use of drinking horns?
Ooh, let's go with the produce first.
Okay, so I think a lot of drinking horns in the realms are produced from like oxen. This is a pretty common way to get a drinking horn, or from rothe, which are kind of like buffalo in a sense. They're like the realm's buffalo. Less commonly, drinking horns are produced from, say, minotaurs.
I like the idea of
I was
like
gonna say your murder bear, the catoblepus, has horns in some editions.
Whoa.
The catoblepus has horns. Some of them do, some of them don't. The
That'd be
catoblepus
epic.
has a wide
Epic.
variety of appearances.
There you go. That's what the murder bear clan's drinking horns.
Yeah, we have like
Certain-
one horn in the hall.
Established.
Done.
Gorgons. That is, it's not the Medusa gorgon, but the bull-like gorgon.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can we blame Gary for that? Let's blame Gary for that. Okay.
Sure.
It's Gary's fault.
I'm sure Gary would be like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, totally.
Hell, tall man.
I meant to me, but but let's be honest, to all of us, I think you'd be like, "I'm sorry.
yeah.
Why do I care that you don't like my name?"
You talking about minotaurs and like drinking horns makes me feel like it would be super rad if they had something in their culture where if two minotaurs dueled each other, the loser would have to have like one of their horns chopped off, and the winner could use that as like their new drinking horn.
And
That seems pretty epic.
metal.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I guess they both get to walk away from that, which is good, because the skull drinking vessel. Besides, like needing a lot of, you have to like fill a lot of holes in the skull because like it's not actually a liquid vessel. I mean, you can't.
The vertical ones with the top sliced off make me so crazy. There's a foramen magnum. It's kind of important.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. You just hold it like this. And then pour it in. It's more of a drinking funnel.
In the chat, Saunderjack just said, "Just don't lose 3 duels."
Oh, yeah. I think actually you could totally work that into the lore. Like any minotaur that loses 3 duels.
What, castration is funny?
Oh, I wasn't
what you
thinking
said?
castration, but I thought it meant like
I feel like you
the
lose
end.
2 and you're out. Like you're not
Yeah,
allowed.
you're outcast or something.
Like 1, okay. You
Can't fight any more duels.
For standing by your point, and you've lost a little face, but like you can respect someone who goes to that point. If you do it twice, like no, you're too stubbornly wrong at that point. You don't get to be a Minotaur society anymore. So then you go become an adventurer.
Yeah, totally. And you could tell if a minotaur is like real badass by the number of drinking horns that they have like at their belt. If they got 5 of them, you know that person's won 5 duels.
I feel like if there's some Minotaur who's got like a row of drinking horns, they're just I don't know. Would they be someone who's just like constantly trying to provoke people? Because who's going to argue
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah,
like,
true.
Rangers are the best class ever. Fight me. And you're
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yep, best class ever.
Yeah.
Best
class ever.
Drinking over.
They just unbuckle their belt of horns and just like clank it on the table and just like look at you. You want to argue?
I enjoy this idea of like a minotaur who's kind of doing a stranger in a strange land, right? Like a minotaur rolls up, maybe rolls up somewhere like Dragonborn City, because Dragonborn seem physically like also ready to roll. Says something really provocative and drops the drinking horn, and Dragonborn just like is like, what?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it doesn't work that way here. Oh shit.
Oh
It'd be
yeah.
quite entertaining. Or
Yes.
something even closer.
In
A
response
loxodon or
to something Seldarine said, when Minotaurs talk about being horny, they mean that they're ready to fight, right?
I like it.
So misunderstanding, right?
Yeah.
Well, where do you think the Minotaur came from in the first place? A misunderstanding very much like that.
Actually, yeah. Is that actually the lore in the realms? Like that's how Minotaurs came
I
to
don't
be?
know.
I feel like the answer is a wizard did it. It is the answer
Valid.
95% of the time.
True.
The answer is a
Shade
wizard
just
did it
face palmed.
with a wizard did it with dubious consent, right? Okay.
Ooh, okay, so we are actually at time, and we will come back in 4 minutes with the show. So stick around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.